Hello and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is Chelsea.
My name's BatSheva.
And my life is so much brighter thanks to BatSheva.
My life is insanely brighter thanks to Chelsea.
We love to come on here and share stories, tools, techniques, our own unique journey in hopes that through that sharing and vulnerability and experience, we will brighten your own path. And today we are getting into a real juicy topic. But before we go there, as we like to do every time, just going to come and arrive in the space. So if you're at a place where you can close down or soften your eyes, I invite you to do that. And go ahead and let all the air out. And take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And exhale out the mouth. Another deep breath in the nose. And exhale out the mouth. Last breath, deepest one. And exhale. Welcome. I don't know about you all, but just slowing down the breath is something that's actually very pleasurable to me. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is our pleasure. And what is pleasure? Can pleasure, where does your mind go whenever you think of pleasure? For me, pleasure has all sorts of meanings. I find so many different avenues of pleasure nowadays, but it hasn't been always easy for me to tap into. Actually, it was really easy. I can think back to my first relationship, my first love and that pleasure, and whoa, I was fully in it. I was experiencing the pleasure, max love, max pleasure, had not been hurt in a relationship. Then I think that after that experience and where we kind of went and what it evolved, there were definitely some walls that went up, barriers that got put in place for protection. And actually, now that I even think about it, I really think that there was a lot of kind of denial, self-denial of pleasure, because for the simple fact that my very first romantic relationship, intimate relationship, he joined the military and then was stationed far away. And in an effort to not want to cheat on him, I feel like I shut down my pleasure to a certain degree. I don't want to get horny so that I'm not going to cheat on this guy while he's gone. And wow, now that kind of coming full circle to that is very interesting. But coming back around to BatSheva and I, pleasure kind of brought us together in a sense. Meditation and also pleasure, because we started reading Mama Gina's book together and becoming sister goddesses together and witnessing each other. And from that, our incredible relationship has evolved and up-leveled time and time again and become the sisterhood that I have only ever dreamt of.
Well, thanks to Chelsea suggesting that book to me. And we have mentioned the book on this podcast before, but I'll go ahead and say the title. It's called Pussy, or Reclamation. And when Chelsea first told me she was in the middle of reading that book, when we drove up together to the Vipasana retreat in Palm Springs, which is how we met, which we recount in our very first podcast episode. And then in the second episode, I think we do talk about the Daily W technique that we basically took from Mama Gina's book. She calls it the Holy Trinity, and we evolved it into our own version, which we call the Daily W's. And as Chelsea was saying, that technique completely revolutionized our friendship and our own personal evolution, and it still continues to do that. We highly recommend that technique. And let's just go back to the title of that motherfucking book. Pussy, a reclamation. I couldn't say that word out loud, pussy, back then without feeling weird. And for me, it is partially generational because I'm 53 right now. And I noticed that my older daughter, she doesn't have a problem saying it or writing it. I think it is blessedly with that Generation Z, I guess. It's more in the vernacular, which I think is a healthy thing. It's in the songs, the raps, and it's a little bit more free of, unfortunately from porn culture too, which in my opinion has been detrimental to a lot of the way that women are able to experience their own pleasure by themselves or with men. But yeah, that's what Chelsea and I decided we're going to share today. It's not just like the pleasure of being outside, on the beach, eating strawberries, although that is part of it and that is pleasure for many of us. It's pussy pleasure. We're talking about visceral female, or if you happen to be a guy, you're included, sexual pleasure and the pleasure principle. What is that? The principle and the priority that our pleasure matters, that it's so important that we should prioritize it, possibly, I might argue, to be the number one priority in our life for us to make sure that we are honoring our pleasure, that we are seeing it and treating it as sacred. And it's fun for me to be able to share this and talk about it because in my own version of like Chelsea's evolution, she describes her first intimate relationship and then how she shut down towards the end. That was making me think about my own evolution and how not just was it hard for me to say the word pussy 2 years ago, and it was probably only in the past 6 months that I've become more comfortable with it, honestly. Also being in an intimate relationship for the first time since the end of my marriage, which at this recording is over 3.5 years ago, was completely celibate till I started dating this one particular person I'm in a relationship with now. And actually, when I first started dating him, I said to him, I think you're going to be instrumental in some healing that I'm going to go through. And I meant literally Marvin Gaye, bro, sexual healing, because my story is that I experienced some trauma as a very, very young child that impacted me and my body in a way that meant by the time preteen and teen, most girls are discovering their pleasure and their ability to pleasure themselves. I don't know if most, but many are. I was able to feel aroused and turned on, but I couldn't get close to feeling any sort of build up to what I now know, because I've experienced it as an orgasm. I just didn't have access to that. That part of my body was not available for me to feel or experience. And it's interesting because if you don't know, you don't know. I really didn't know what I was missing. I could only fake it because as I got older and started to have sex and sexual relationships, and I had like really pretty unhealthy ones often. Why? Because I was not in touch with my own pleasure, not by my own fault, but it wasn't until my kind of mid to late 20s that with like intensive therapy and my own like deep desire to somehow break through that wall. And I wasn't sure I would be able to. It literally took years for me, actually. And then like trying to figure out how to do it and getting books and trying, and then like literally crying. There's so much crying involved, which I have written and spoken about. And I guess that had to all be released in order for me to finally be able to feel my pussy. But she was in there just waiting for me to uncover her from the depths of the ocean of sadness and trauma. And little by little took it's been like a beautiful but not fast journey. I did awaken to my own pleasure, my ability to orgasm, multiple orgasm with a partner, and I'm still in that journey and I'm still loving that journey. And I would say the place that I'm at now, I just owe so much thanks, Chelsea, to you for introducing me to that book, and also just for like being, like you said, like a sister fucking goddess on this journey of pleasure for life, bruh. For life, sister.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It's so incredible to have someone to witness their own unique path and to kind of not compare, but just relate to. And not to have to be relating in the same manner. Like it doesn't have to be the same exact storyline or you're at the same places. It's just like having someone who at some point has felt the feeling or just can just give you comfort or just hear you and witness you, just someone safe to share it with. And maybe that's a therapist or a counselor or maybe it's your actual partner, who knows? Everyone's different. But yeah, this whole world of pleasure has been reignited, reopened for me. And it's really fucking exciting. It's really exciting that like, as I sit here right now, I can feel my pussy vibrating with like excitement and joy. And just like, it's so insane and also incredible. And it's something that I was not tapped into, I mean, yeah, you feel it here and there whenever like you're in that realm, but actually now my pleasure isn't just intimate. It's like, what am I desiring? What am I desiring in life? What am I desiring in this moment? And this is something that's been really recently transformed for me, is that my desires and my life goals are completely different. And that was like revolutionary, because thinking about like what a goal is, like, oh, I want to make this much money, or I want to have this many clients, or this is the number I want to say on the scale, or whatever that goal is, like that doesn't really have anything to do with my pussy and my turn on and my desires, my real deep, like what gets me excited and what I'm passionate about. And then whenever I start using that language and talking in more of the tone of, like, I'm excited to share this information. I'm excited for other women to hear this, for others to know that it's possible for them, that you can find someone, a girlfriend, a partner, a mentor, a book that can change your fucking life in the most insanely magical way. And then you can share that story, and your story becomes your medicine. And then it allows someone else to find it and to continue on. And like, that's something that brings me like pure pleasure and excitement. So yeah, that's where I am right now. On the pleasure journey, on the ride, riding the wave. And I also think it's important to note that it's not always just pleasure. There is the whole cycle that I'm learning about of kind of like what we had mentioned before, of the pendulum swing of like pleasure and then pain or rupture and then kind of going back. And it feels like with lots of different emotions, there are those different swings. And it's like being able to feel both ends of them, the highs and the lows, so that you can know like when you're really peaking or when you're really in the depths of it.
Well, I'm happy you said that, because there is no accident that I had to literally cry like several rivers before I had access to my own sexual pleasure. And I have found that there is a one-to-one correlation for me feeling this tough feelings and being able to release them through all the techniques we've continued to share and we will continue to share. Things come up all the time. This is human life, and life is, like you said, not always pleasurable. It's sometimes fucking tough and painful. Very often it is. And the importance, just the utter importance of us either, having support system, as you mentioned, and having tools and using tools, breath work, tapping, witnessing within, whatever works in that moment to release, to feel the feelings, especially the more sad, angry, resentful feelings that bubble up, that burst into the system. And then when they're released, for me, there's just this rush of physical pleasure and accessibility of physical pleasure. Then I'm just like, woo, I'm ready. Like, let's go. And Mama Gina, Regina Thomas Hauer, that wrote that book, who Chelsea may want to share a little bit. She's now taking a course with her. Lucky you. But I did take like her few of her free Zoom classes, and she has a technique called swamping, which is like another name for the technique of really articulating and externalizing your pain and despair, let's say by dancing, screaming, yelling, moaning. Like you think of like the Greek tragedies where, the woman who's lost her baby is just like, just wailing to the gods. And when she has you do that, especially like in that community of supportive other women, sister goddesses who are also doing it, it's this profound release of pain that we hold inside. And it could be from anything. It could be from childhood trauma. It could be from the dude who just was an asshole to you, like at the store. It could be from a child who's going through a rough time and you don't know how to help them. It could be from a partner that you're going through a tricky situation with. It could be from the world, just the sadness of the world, which like anyone who's sensitive can easily feel that deeply. And for that technique to be employed, it's like as a form of self-love, because then that release like washes away the sediment. And then I found personally, and I'm sure this is true for basically most of the women, I don't know about you, but like just then the pleasure can just like blossom, and like the little antennae, the tentacles, like you said, the pussy vibration, like, woo, let's go. Like I found myself like waking up and feeling very alive. And that's so profound because as children, American children, boys and girls, were taught to stuff those motherfucking feelings down and do not let them out under any circumstance. And I do think that, little by little, the generations are recognizing the healthiness of letting feelings out and feeling them, but we don't always really know how to do it. We don't have the structures in place often to do it.
I think that's a really important thing to note as well, is that feeling it. And we're not using the tools to bypass it or to like get over it quickly or as some sort of numbing. It's not like, because if you're trying to use them in that way, for me anyways, I find them like not effective. If I'm just like, I want to hurry up and get out of feeling this, so I'm going to do all these things, then it doesn't work for me. It's really like, okay, I want to step into feeling it. I want to allow myself to feel it fully. And so through that, I'm going to use these tools to help me feel it in a safe way. And I was actually just reading a little bit of a book this morning to my aunt who stayed the night with us last night. It's called The Mastery of Love. We just started it. It's by
Don Ruiz Miguel. Yeah,
yes, that's him.
Great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it kind of reminded me of what you were saying, BatSheva, with as children, we're taught to like suppress and not feel emotions and stuff it all down. And he literally in the beginning of the book, like talks about walking around like wounded and like imagining that everyone has all these wounds, and then you don't want to touch other people because they have wounds and you don't want it to hurt, and just talks about like the system of how we're taught to deal with the wounds or how they're passed down to us and passed on to us. And then, it's so fabulous. I highly recommend that. I haven't even gotten past the first chapter and I'm already loving it. But yeah, another important thing.
Yeah, he's amazing. And also, actually, you saying that reminds me of a book that I also read recently that was recommended from Layla Martin, the other woman that Chelsea is learning from and getting certified from, which I hope you'll talk more about. But one of the books on that list that you shared with me of resources is called Come As You Are. And it's a really awesome book, especially for any women who've been curious about why they're quick to shut down, or they're not quick to shut down, or they're quick to use sex as an escape tool, or they can't orgasm at all. Like, it's really a great book. And she does mention about how some women and men will use sex to bypass emotion as well. Like, it's not always pain or like a tool, but like that was really also comforting to hear that even, people who orgasm a lot and like want to have sex all the time, like can be bypassing pain and pleasure. They actually are bypassing pleasure just to get the release of the orgasm. And that in these cases, it's possible to experience orgasm or sex as a depletion instead of what it can be and what it should be if we learn to cultivate our pleasure, which is just an ever-giving, never-ending resource and fountain of continued expansion and more pleasure and more pleasure.
I love the thought of that idea, the energy exchange, because that was really one of the things that drew me into taking the courses, especially taking the course with Layla Martin for sex, love, and relationship coaching. She has a huge, extensive background in tantra, and the art of tantra is that you are not all has to do with the energy and cultivating more energy in your body and being able to move that energy around and to experience ultimately like full body orgasms. And that was huge for me, because thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, like I'm just trying to, and then the way that she described it of like, you're like tightening up your body and you're trying to just like push out this energy. And it's like, no, you want to open up, you want to expand, you want to feel the energy in every part of you. And I was like, whoa, yes. And that, yes, please, I'll take that to go for the rest of my life.
Unlimited.
Yeah. Yes, I'll take the teachings, whatever that costs. Thank you. And so, yeah, she like that thought process of it. And then with the teachings that I'm learning in this course with Mama Gina, it's like how to connect all the different body parts, how to connect it so that whenever I'm touching my lips or my breasts, that is connected to my pussy, and like that everything is connected. And then I even kind of go back sometimes to coming back to meditation, to the Vipasana retreat that we were at, and being able to feel the life force energy inside me and actually move it throughout my body in the meditation. Like, whoa, that to me was the peak for me. And if that is what like meditators that do it every day and they can get in that state, if that's what they can feel in their whole body and move it around like that and play with that energy, fucking A. That is like insane and incredible. And I get why they're able to do it. Like for me, in my own personal journey right now with meditation, it allows me to be more present, more patient, more kind, more loving to myself, and ultimately all those I come into contact with. But being able to get to the point of pleasure through that is like, yes, goal, please. Like, what do we come here to do as humans? To feel.
I really like that. And I really relate to that, because also for me, the Vipasana technique that we learned 2 years ago, I still use it almost every day. Sometimes I do an hour sit, sometimes 20 minutes, but I'm at the point in my meditation evolution where it's, like you said, literally a game changer, like making me a better person, kinder person, more patient person, more thoughtful, more intuitive, more psychic. And yet that hour sit or 20-minute sit, it's a mindfulness practice. And I am working with the sensations, which is what they train you in the Vipasana technique. You feel the light force, like Chelsea described it, or the sensations is what we were told they could be called, like the sensations in the cellular level, in your cells, in your body, like moving it throughout all parts of your body. But it's interesting because when we were there at the Vipasana retreat, one of the rules, besides like do not talk, do not look at people, do not kill anything living, because it was a Buddhist retreat, and do not have sex, right? That was another rule and mandate. So I do find myself sometimes getting a bit turned on during the meditation, and then I'll kind of like shift away from that. And as I'm thinking about it in the context of this podcast, I'm thinking like, why? Like, I don't need to like follow some old dude's rules for Vipassana. I'm me. Like, I should actually explore other experiences and avenues with that meditation technique. So I'm happy that it came up, because yeah, I would love to have more profound meditation experiences. That's what I was hoping for 2 years ago. I wanted that oneness with God that I was sure I would get. And as you all know, if you listen to that first podcast, I didn't get that. I didn't get what I wanted, but I got what I needed. And so, yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because it's like, that is still a desire of mine, let's say. Like you said, I love that you talked about like, let's make sure our goals are aligned with our heart and our pussies, because it reminds me of our last podcast, like where we just were like, had that mind blown moment where we were like, wait, our external articulate voice should match our inner voice, like head blown and mind blown. And then now I'm thinking, yeah, it's the same. Our goals should match our desires, the desire of the heart, the desire of the pussy. And, if Chelsea and I are speaking like too freely for you about like the pussy, I invite you just to like kind of let it roll. And if it also strikes your curiosity, then, definitely check out this pussy book, because it's potentially life-changing in all the good ways.
And also get curious with why it bothers you, why it triggers you. Because if you're a woman, you have one. So, and all pussies are related.
You know what? True. And men, they're so lucky they have these dicks, these penises where they just like see them and play with them from day one. And ours are like the mysterious black hole inside of us that we don't know what is going on in there.
Don't touch down there.
Don't touch, don't ask, don't tell, don't touch. Yeah.
I did want to say one thing regarding the rules and stuff from the Vipasana is one thing that I was thinking about is that, there were several rules, and I feel like the rules were implemented just like a big portion of it was to prove or for there to be no misunderstanding that what was working was the Vipasana technique that was being taught. And I know that you and I are both such good rule followers that, we may have like come home like just wanting to continue and not even realizing that maybe some of those rules don't apply. But yeah, I think that that's amazing to explore other ways because, one of the things that we were supposed to kind of abandon for the training for the 10 days that we were there was any religion or anything, like any practices, spiritual like that. And also Goenki, the founder, he was Hindu, I believe. And he was practiced religion, outside of whenever he finished. So I think that a lot of the stuff that they wanted you to, not everything, of course, because I know that I can think of certain things that they continue not wanting you to participate in. But I think that some of it was just for that time period, and that could have been that exploration. So I'm excited to see where this goes for you.
Yeah, me too. I think he was Buddhist because he talked a lot about the Buddha. But I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I agree that that they had this container for us to learn the technique so that we could experience the power of the technique. Yeah, it's true. And why am I still following all those rules? I've already killed flies. I've already broken that rule.
Well, everyone figure out the rules that make the most sense to you. Follow those. All right. Well, it sounds like a good place to kind of wind down with our daily W. So I'll begin. My win for the day is that I sent a really important, I had told this past retreat group that I was going to be starting another subgroup for those that were interested. And it had been on my list. I had been cultivating the different parts of it and what it looked like. And I finally got the group started and the message sent this morning before BatSheva and I got on this call. So that was a huge win, huge brag for me. And I feel really great about it. And my wow is that I'm really grateful for my ability yesterday and this morning to be able to pivot my direction and what was planned. In past times, I've kind of been really rigid about routine and structure and what I had said I was going to do and, finishing at a certain time and sometimes even compromising what that looked like. And I'm just so grateful for myself and for my own inner guidance and intuition and just the ease and the grace that I've been giving myself to flow with what is right in the moment and not to be caught up in what I should be doing or what hasn't gotten done or anything along those lines. So
as your daily witness, wow, I've really, really seen that for you. And it's incredible to witness and it's very inspiring. So that's amazing. And it actually made me think and pivot a little bit with my wish that I'm going to share. I initially thought I'll share just a wish, wishing to strengthen my relationship with the divine, which I'm always looking to do. But I'm going to put it in the context of this upcoming weekend. Starting tomorrow, I have lots of family coming to town. It's a big family weekend. We have a lot of events. My band is going to play for a small group, including my family in our backyard. We have different meals together and a gala to attend together. And my siblings and their kids, and my son is coming from Hawaii with so many things. And my wish is that my connection to my own inner wisdom, that I may hear my intuition, that my connection to my inner wisdom remains as strong as ever and even strengthens more during this weekend so that I remain deeply committed and connected to my own inner knowing, intuition, and inner guidance. Because in the past, sometimes other people's voices and desires have really drowned out my own, and it never led to any good for me. That wasn't helpful. So wishing for divine assistance to remaining in contact with the divine through this weekend and beyond.
Yes. And so it is, or something bigger, better, wetter. or more desirable for you. Yes. All right. We love you so much.
Awesome.
Don't forget to
make sure to subscribe.
Yes, and like and share and rate and all the things. If
all
anything that we've
leave
said,
us a rating. It would help a lot. We would love that.
We love to grow
I think
organically.
we forgot to say all that on the last episode, so we're saying double this time.
Yeah. Just like our fruits and veggies, we love to grow organically. So please do that for us and help us in that way. All right.
Love
Until
it.
next time.